Welcome back, students. So let's begin with part 2 of the story, The Banyan Tree. The warm breezes of approaching summer had sent everyone, including the gardener, into the house. I was feeling drowsy myself, wondering if I should go to the pond and have a swim with Ramu and the buffaloes when I saw a huge black cobra gliding out of a clump of cactus. So here, clump of cactus, which noun is it? This is collective noun. At the same time, a mongoose emerged from the bushes and went straight to the cobra. Emerge means came out. In a clearing beneath the banyan tree, clearing means an open space in the forest where there is nothing. It's a plain area where there is no tree. In bright sunshine, they came face to face. The cobra knew only too well that the grey mongoose, 3 feet long, was a superb fighter. Clever and aggressive. But the cobra too was a skillful and experienced fighter. He could move swiftly. Swiftly means very quick. And strike with the speed of light. And the sack behind his long sharp fangs, sack, it's a kind of a bag, and fangs means long sharp teeth. So the sack behind the long sharp fangs were full of deadly poison. It was to be a battle of champions. Hissing defiance. Defiance means resistance. So that means here the cobra started making the hissing sound, started producing the hissing sound to show his readiness, his forked tongue darting in and out. The cobra raised 3 of his 6 feet off the ground. That means the cobra stood 3 feet up off the ground and spread his broad spectacled hood, whereas the mongoose bushed his tails and the long hair on his spine stood up. So this shows the readiness of the snake and the mongoose, that they were both ready for the fight. Though the combatants were unaware of my presence in the tree. Combatants means the participants. Though they were not aware that even the author was sitting on the tree, they were soon made aware of the arrival of 2 other spectators. And the other 2 spectators were, spectators means those who are watching the show. So the other 2 spectators were Mena and the jungle crow. They had seen these participations and preparations for the battle and had settled on the cactus to watch the outcome, to watch the result. Had they been content only to watch, all would have been well with both of them. The cobra stood on a defensive, swaying slowly from side to side, trying to mesmerize the mongoose into making a false move. That means the cobra stood in a defensive way, moving slowly from side to side, trying to persuade the opponent magically, trying to persuade him to make false move. But the mongoose knew the power of his opponent's glassy and winking eyes and refused to meet them. Instead, he fixed his gaze at a point just below the cobra's hood so that it could attack the cobra, and opened the attack. Moving forward quickly until he was just within the cobra's reach, the mongoose made a pretended move to one side just to lure the opponent. Immediately the cobra struck. His great hood came down so swiftly that I thought, that means the author thought, that nothing could save the mongoose. Now it's the end of the mongoose. But the little fellow was so swift and it jumped neatly to one side, darted in as swiftly as the cobra, biting the snake on the back and darting away again out of reach. At the same moment that the cobra struck, the crow and the Mena hurled themselves at him, only to collide heavily in the midair. That means the Mena and the cobra started interfering in the fight. Shrieking insult at each other, they returned to the cactus plant. They collided with each other, they tried to insult each other, and then they came back and sat at the cactus plant. A few drops of blood glistened on the cobra's back as it was bitten by the mongoose. The cobra struck and missed. Again the mongoose sprang aside, jumped in and bit. So even the mongoose knew the power of his opponent's glassy, unwinking eyes. And the cobra and the mongoose, they both were trying to mesmerize each other. The cobra struck and missed. Again the mongoose sprang aside, jumped in and bit. Again the bird dived at the snake, bumped into each other. Instead they returned and shrieking to the safety of the cactus. The third round followed the same course as the first. Third round, as if they were comparing this fight as a wrestling match. So the third round followed the same course as the first, but with one dramatic difference. And what was the difference? Now let's read. The crow and the manna, still determined to take part in the proceedings, in the proceeding means they were still trying to interfere with between the fight, dived at the cobra, but this time they missed each other as well as their mark. The manna flew on and reached to its perch, and it means the manna flew and sat on the cactus. But the crow tried to pull up in the midair and turn back, but in the second that it took the bird to do this, the cobra whipped his head back and struck with a great force his snout means mouth, thudding against the crow's body. That means it bit the crow. I saw the bird flung nearly 20 feet across the garden. It fluttered about for a while and then lay still. That means the crow died. The manna remained on the cactus plant, and when the snake and the mongoose returned to the fight, very wisely decided not to interfere again. Then, when the manna saw that the crow died, the manna decided not to interfere in the fight again. The cobra was weakening, and the mongoose, walking fearlessly up to it, raised himself on his short legs and with a lightning snap, that means with a lightning speed, had the big snake by the snout. That means it had captured the snake. The cobra writhed and lashed writhed and lashed means being in pain by badly beaten. So, about in frightening manner, and even coiled itself about the mongoose. That means he tried to coil itself around the mongoose, but to no avail. The little fellow hung grimly on until the snake had ceased to struggle. He then smelled along its quivering length. He gripped it round the hood and dragged it into the bushes. The manna dropped cautiously. That means the manna here, when it saw that the mongoose and the cobra's fight is over, and the mongoose dragged the snake into the bushes, it just cautiously dropped to the ground and hopped about, peered into the bushes from a safe distance, and then with a shrill cry of congratulation, it flew. I hope all of you have understood the story thoroughly, and if you have any questions, then please contact your subject teacher. Have a great day. Thank you so much.